welcome back to our 4 principles of business class. Can you hear me? Just make sure. Yes, my mic is.
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So, I just want to know if you remember what we did last week. Last week, what we would have done. What did we do? Can you give me a brief um, synopsis of what we did last week? Or is there anything that you can remember in particular? So last week we looked at subsistence economies. We looked at what persons did with the excess in terms of like bartering. We understood that bartering was basically the exchanging of goods and services for other goods and services without the use of money. We also looked at transition from bartering to the use of money. So we understood that back in those days, persons began to use shells and beads and animal teeth. And they took on the role of money simply because they had the characteristics of money, which was portability, scarcity, visibility, durability, and acceptability. We went through those definitions. We also looked at the functions of money. We understood that it is a unit of account, a store of value, a medium of exchange, and a standard for deferred payments. So today we'll be continuing our look at exchange, really and truly. And we're going to be looking at instruments of exchange. By any chance, do you know of any of the instruments of exchange? I have some up on the screen.
You can exchange checks.
Yeah. Yeah, check.
That's unique to I can think of at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so checks are some. We have electronic transfer, we have e-commerce, we have money, and we have debit cards, etc. So today we're going to be looking at a few of them. We're going to start off looking at a few, and then next week we'll look at the rest. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the definition of an instrument of exchange, and it is basically anything that facilitates transactions. So anything that enables the exchanging of goods and services between a buyer and a seller. And I had already asked if you could think of any, and you had said checks, and we had said money, etc. So one of the first things, or one of the first instruments of exchange, is actually barter. And we looked at barter last week, and it's basically, I defined it just now, as the exchanging of goods or services without using money. So let's say Mr. Brown is a farmer over here, and you're a baker, and you want some, this like kale or something, kale lettuce. You want some lettuce, and you have some bread. You basically exchange the lettuce for the bread. Give it. That's only if Mr. Brown wants what you have. So if Mr. Brown does not want bread, the barter cannot exchange. That was one of the main disadvantages of bartering. But it is advantageous in that money was not involved. So that's one of the first instrument of exchange, bartering. So then the next one is a bill of exchange. And you know, when you go to it's similar too, but when you go to a restaurant and you're finished eating, the waiter or the waitress usually brings a bill, and you have to give them that amount of money that is on your bill. But the difference is that this is a written unconditional order or agreement that binds the buyer, which is the drawee, also known as the drawee, to pay a fixed sum of money to the supplier or the person that's selling the item, and that's the drawer. And the payment usually occurs in the future. So usually, so sometimes you have a slight bill, and that is that you pay when you receive the items, or you pay before you actually receive the items. And then there's a term bill, and this is when you pay on a date given in the future. So I have an example, and I'll come shortly, but I just want us to note some other things. Is that two or more parties have to be involved. We understand that the drawee is the entity responsible for the payment of the funds. So this is the person that is usually purchasing the items on credit. And then we have the drawer, and this is the entity to which the money must be paid to. So whoever is supplying the things that you want, this money must be paid to that particular entity. So it is frequently used to facilitate international trade, as the importers will need the time to sell the goods before paying for them. Right? So let's look at this example here. So let's say that, Kavita, you are the owner of bistro restaurant and you just started up, but you decided that you wanted to buy some things in bulk, simply because in the long run it will be cheaper, and so that you will just have a continuous supply of items for a longer period of time, instead of going to the supermarket and picking up a bag of flour. I mean, yeah, a 1 kilogram of flour, and expecting that it to last, however long. So you just decide to buy in bulk. So you decide to call up Wholesale Inc. Or you decide to go there, and you tell them, I would like to buy some items in bulk. So you want some vegetables, you want probably like some forks, some plastic forks, or knives, and you want some glasses, and you want some cups, you want potatoes, flour, you name it, all the things that you need at a restaurant. And you go to the cashier and you say, well, I don't have the funds now to buy all of these things in bulk. However, I can pay you back when I make back the change from selling the things at the restaurant. So as mentioned before, you will need time to make back the money. So in that case, you will ask for a bill of exchange, or the cashier will give you a bill of exchange, and they will put your name to whom they will put your name on the bill, and they will put the amount that you have to pay back. So I just want us to note, however, that the drawee would be Bistro's restaurant, and the drawer will be the Wholesale Inc. It's not the cashier, because at the end of the day, the money is not going to the cashier's bank account. It's going to Wholesale's Inc. bank account. So let's say you have 1 month to repay this amount of money. You have to repay in the 1 month's time. And this is basically a short term, a very, very short term loan. And as mentioned before, as we saw here, is frequently used to facilitate international trade, as the importers will need the time to sell the goods before paying for them. So let's say that we decided to import some, I don't know, some bags, some haversacks, and we can't necessarily pay them back if we don't have the money from the sales. So we may say, you know what, after I make the sales from selling these haversacks, I will send you guys back, or pay you guys back the money when I am finished. So you understand so far? I'm taking the silence to be a yes. So could you think of some advantages and disadvantages of using this instrument of exchange. What are some of the benefits and disbenefits of this particular instrument of exchange, bill of exchange? Well, we have some here, and it basically the payment is guaranteed on a specific date, and the buyer gets their goods instantly. So once you write that date on the bill of exchange that this money must be paid by, you are guaranteed that amount of money. Or not, you have to take things to court. It is basically like a contract. You know, you're signing it. You're legally bound to it, so you have to pay it back. However, one disadvantage is that the drawer does not necessarily receive the funds instantly, so they have to wait until the date on the bill of exchange to get back their money. So we're moving on smartly to our next instrument of exchange, sorry. And this is basically electronic transfer. And this is transferring or the transferring of money, funds, or payment that is made electronically. Right. It includes transferring funds from one bank account to another account. So things like Cash App. Or if I want to send you money online from overseas, I could just ask you for your information, your bank information, and I will send the funds to you. So it also includes paying for goods using a credit card, the payment of wages and salaries to employees' accounts. So some businesses use this to pay their employees. They are instead of instead of them having to go to the bank and take off money, or they giving them the money physically, they would just send the money from the business's account to their personal accounts where they can receive the money. It also includes paying for goods online, and this is usually done on a website or a particular app. And no physical money is involved in this particular type of exchange. So we have some advantages, and for the most part, it is safe to use. It is quick to use as well because there's not a lot of detailed paperwork. You don't have to leave home, none of that. It's just you type in some things and the transaction occurs. As I said just now, there are no detailed paper records, and large numbers of transactions can be carried out at the same time. So the business could just, in terms of the case of the employees, just pull up all their employees' banking information, bank accounts, and just send the money to each one individually all at the same time. That's what technology has allowed us to do in this.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Sorry, are you not really seeing it? I'm not seeing you sharing it.
Pardon me?
Are you sharing?
Oh, yes, I am. I am actually. Maybe the internet.
Probably because I'm not seeing anything, but it's showing you, and it's
Oh, okay. Let me try again. Right, you can see my screen now? Can you see it now? just make sure my internet. Yes, I'm connected. Right. So where was the last thing you saw?
So,
For
to before we reach the next part of the electronic before there, we
oh,
were still
okay.
on the of exchange.
Okay. All right. So I will just start back from um so this was the last thing you saw, this particular one. Yeah, this one.
Yes.
All right. So we look at the disadvantages and the disadvantages of the bills of exchange. Payment is guaranteed on a specific date. The buyer gets their goods instantly, and the disadvantage is that the drawer does not receive the payment instantly, so they have to wait. Um, they have to wait in that case. So we went on to electronic transfers, and we understood that is basically transferring money or funds or payment, and this is done electronically. It includes transferring funds from one bank account to another. So if I things like Cash App, so I could decide one day, as a birthday gift, I want to send my cousin some money, and I would just have to get her banking information, her bank account number, etc., and send her the money from my bank account to her bank account. You can also pay for goods using a credit card, and that's usually um, done online. Or if you go into a supermarket or a store and you don't have any cash on you and you want to buy some stuff, you can use your credit card to buy to purchase stuff in the supermarket or the gas station. I also talk about the payments of wages and salaries to employees' account. So if a business prefers to use electronic transfer instead of paying their employees physically or having them go to a bank um, physically to get the money, what they could do is that they send the money electronically. So they would send the money from the business's bank account to their employees' bank account. And we can see here that um, you will see in the advantages later on that it allows the transaction to occur at once. Um, it also includes paying for goods and services online through payment, and this is usually done on a website. And no physical money is involved in this particular transaction unless you decide to go to your bank and withdraw the money. So we look at the advantages and we say that for the most part, it is safe to use. For the most part, there are passwords involved, account numbers involved, and obviously other security um, things are involved so that not anybody could get into your bank account and I guess steal money. The transaction is done quickly, so you don't have to go to the bank teller and tell her, I want to give this amount of money to um, my employees, and she has to sit down there and or both of you have to stand up there and say, well, this amount for this body and this amount for that body. It doesn't work like that. Um, no need for detailed paper records because the computer or the machine would generate it automatically. So when you pay using a credit card, your information usually comes out on the receipt or a small piece of paper when you pay, and then you have large numbers of transactions can be carried out at the same time. So as I was saying, the employer can pay all of his employees at once using electronic transfer. However, there are some disadvantages, and it includes online fraud. So I don't know about you, but these children today can hack into, and if children could do it, I assume that adults can do it too. But they can hack into information. They know how to use computers better than us, and it is possible that they can hack into your online banking information and steal your money. Um, Another situation where a child was buying stuff, Roblox. They were buying, I think it's called Robux, using their parents' credit card, and they were unaware of it until they went and checked, and just say, how, like, obviously he got in trouble. Like, how was he able to do this? So, and he was young. He was like 9 or younger, 8 or 9, and they were like, "Oh, is he able to do this? He got in trouble." But if you can do that, persons can hack into your banking information and possibly steal your money. We also have human errors, and that's entering details online. So you may mistake and enter the um, wrong account number, or you may be, for example, giving somebody a top up, and you um, give them the wrong number, so you mistake. You said 24. Your number is 2450469, but you mistake and said 2460469, and the money will be transferred to the wrong phone. And then we also know that electronic systems can crash, computers mash up, machines mash up, and in an event like this can cause a lot of problems. Can you think of any more disadvantages or advantages before we move on? Okay. Um, we have the next thing is telebanking, and when I was researching this, I was trying to figure out the difference between the two, but telebanking, I think, encompasses it. Not I think, but it encompasses both. It encompasses the electronic transferring, or they're very closely related. Um, Telebanking is the use of computer and phone networks to make bank transactions. So you can visit without visiting the bank. Sorry, one can receive the services of banks. So the device used for this purpose is called telebanking. This is a fast and convenient way of obtaining services from the bank by using a telephone or cell phone or computer. So you may want to know, for example, how much money do you have on your account? And instead of going to the bank, physically going to the bank, you could call and ask a question, or you could go online and check to see if you could go online and check to see how much money you have left. You can also call to ask, can I take out a loan instead of going physically to the bank? You could also call or read up online on the bank's website what is the process to do X, Y, Z. So the next instrument of exchange that we'll be looking at is e-commerce, and this is well known throughout the world. This is something that has basically taken over. No longer do we have to necessarily go inside of a store. We can just go online, press some buttons, and make a payment, and we have our items within the same day, or within a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So this allows for households and businesses to purchase goods and services online from a website or an app. So we see here one of the most well-known facilitators of e-commerce is Amazon. There's an online store, and you can buy almost anything from them. So we have another example too is like food, or even supermarkets, where you just go on their website and you order stuff online, and the food is delivered to you as soon as possible. So we have advantages, and they include they're convenient for the business in that they don't have to, like, for example, now in COVID times, you don't have to necessarily have all of these persons in a store at once for COVID to spread. You can just set up the order and delivery segment of your business, section of your business, and allow for those particular processes to occur, so that there's not there's no overcrowding or anything like that. It also creates jobs because you're going to need a delivery person. Um, so yeah, that's that. And it's also usually, for the most part, convenient for the customer because they don't have to leave home and buy stuff, and it is also easy to use. We also see that there are obviously some disadvantages. There are some security problems. Persons can hack into your personal information. Along with that, in terms of buying stuff from overseas or ordering things online, if there's a possibility that things could get damaged in the process, and in some cases it's a waste of money, so, or not waste, a loss of money, sorry. So yes, there are warranties and stuff like that, but sometimes things get damaged and you may not be able to get them back. The next one, as you have stated when I have first asked, was a check, and this is another instrument of exchange, and this is a dated, written, and signed instrument that orders a bank, which would be the Drawee in this case, to make a specific amount, make a payment of a specific amount of money to the payee. So the bank is the Drawee because they have to withdraw the money in order to pay. The payee is the one to whom the money is going to be paid, and the drawer or the payer is the one who writes the check, and the money is taken from his or her account. So I will write a check. And I will put X amount of money on it. Then I will put whichever bank my account is at, and when I give the payee the check, they have to go to the bank, and the bank would, in exchange for the check, they would give them the money. Checks may be cashed or deposited. So I may decide that I want my money in my hand now, or I may just decide to put it on my bank account. So when the payee represents the check to the bank or any other financial institution to negotiate, the funds are drawn from the payer's bank account, and it is another way to instruct the bank to transfer funds from the payer's account to the payee or payee's account. So some of the advantages includes that you are guaranteed your money as long as the drawer or payer has sufficient funds in their account, and if they do not, you will have a bounce check, and that is a situation all by itself. In terms of safety, you do not have to store large amounts of notes and coins for long periods of time. And the disadvantage is that they're becoming obsolete and being replaced with online transactions. So as I was mentioning earlier, we could just transfer money from one account to somebody else's account without the use of paperwork. And the last one, that we will be looking at today would be a money order. And this is similar to a check, and it is a small piece of paper that allows the person named to receive a certain amount of cash. So whoever's name or the payee's name, whichever name is on the money order, that the money has to be paid to them. This is generally used when the payer does not have an account at the bank, and it's also used for large payments. So I think I have an example after this slide. It says the payer goes to either the bank or the post office, and they, in quote unquote, purchase a money order because you have to give the institution, the post office or the bank, how much ever money you want to send or transfer, and you also have to pay a small fee for purchasing a money order. So they pay the institution the money, and they pay the institution the money to purchase the money order, and then the institution will send this money to the post office or Western Union or whichever one to the payee. And then the payee comes to collect their money. Obviously, they will have to sign, etc., but they come and they collect their money. So I have an example, and I was thinking, let's say that this guy's name is Mr. Brown, and this lady's name is Janice, for example. And Mr. Brown does not believe in saving his money at the bank. He does not believe in keeping his money at the bank. He keeps it under his bed, in a piggy bank, or in a container, a secure container, or he has a safe. He does not believe in putting money in the bank. And he has a friend, and she's like, Mr. Brown, I need $900 ASAP to pay my rent. If I don't pay my rent by the end of this day, or if I don't pay my rent by tomorrow, I will not be able to live there anymore. I will have to move out. So he decides, well, I don't have a bank account, but I'm going to go to the post office and I'm going to take the $900 out of my piggy bank, and I'm going to take it to the post office and I'm going to give them and purchase a money order. And he will write, or he or they will write whoever's name is supposed to be on the money order. So in that case, it would be Janice and maybe her address, and he would pay the money, give them the money, and pay for the money order. And the post office would then send that $900 to Janice in the mail, and hopefully it gets there safely. But they will send it in the mail, and she can go to a bank or the same post office, and they will pay her the $900. So that's a lengthy process, as opposed to electronic transfer or electronic transfer. So the advantage is that it is beneficial to those who do not have bank accounts. So Mr. Brown, he did not necessarily have to go to meet Janice to give her the money. He was able to do it through the bank, even though he did not have, or the post office, even though he did not have a bank account. It's also good for when you're transferring or giving away or sending somebody, sending somebody large amounts of money. So let's say that he decided to just put that $900 in the envelope and send it to the post office and send it to Janice. That money could have, in that process, could have easily be stolen or something. It is not safe necessarily to do that. So that's where the money order would come in handy. And as I mentioned before, it is slow compared to electronic transfers. That's it for today. We will look at discard. We will look at the remaining next week.